So now if you remember what exactly is a language, the language is a collection of strings. Okay, so this is only single string, there is no collection of it. But if I say that one star, now this is not a string, but it is a collection of strings, because from this particular regular expression you can derive out one epsilon 1 1 1 1 1 1. So whenever there are set of strings, multiple set of strings, multiple strings, you can call it that a language. Okay, so now in this case I am saying for every input symbol in the language, uh, when the for every input symbol in the language, so for is not the word here, every input symbol in the language is replaced by another string, string of, I think I would say string of another input alphabet. So I just writing it as delta. So that input symbol is belongs to your input alphabet. That is your sigma here. So sigma is our main input alphabet. Now, what exactly substitution also represent the same thing, that it is we will be substituting something in place of other things. So homomorphism is also looking like this. We are substituting something. So that is why I have given the definition of this first. Now, what exactly is a substitution? That definition of it is very similar. There is only a one different thing. Okay, so if I just write it again, every input symbol. So again, this is again I am talking about a delta in the language. In the language is replaced by, now I'm stressing upon that word. Everything is similar, but it is replaced by not another string, by it is replaced by another language. Okay, so that is the key difference here. So here in homomorphism, we are replacing every input alphabet with a string. So string means that h of a, this is your input alphabet, and every symbol of it, the symbol of it, this input alphabet is a and b. So I'm replacing this a with a string that is 1, and I'm replacing this b with a string that is 0 1. Okay, so in this case, if I take an example, how now you know what is exactly is language. Now if I take an example like input alphabet is your a and b, and I'm replacing this input alphabet that is specifically denoted by fa. So this is denoted, the substitution is denoted by function of a, and fa is your representing another language, that is your 0 star, and FB is representing your another language, that is 0 1 star. Okay, something like this. Now this is not a single string, but it is a collection of strings, so that is a language. In the same way, this is not a single string, but it is a collection of language, so that is also a language here. So suppose any take another take any language. So uh, suppose the language is defined by this. So L is defined by so I defined L1. So L1 is equal to A plus B star. Okay, something like this. If you want A plus B star, I don't simply take A plus B star. Okay. So now if you're clearly seeing this, the assumption is given here. Question is given like this, that your input alphabet is A and B. So again, keep that in mind, that when I'm talking about that input alphabet belongs to A and B, uh, and if I do not, if sometimes I write a star here and sometimes I do not write a star here. Okay, so it is one and the same thing. So do not confuse it, because in many questions I do not think that I'm only talking about a single A and single B. So I think uh, it is a little bit confusing. So do not think that these two things, if I just write a star or if I do not write a star, it is one and the same thing. Okay, so just keep in mind when I'm talking that alpha is belonging to a alphabet. So keep that in mind. It is only an input alphabet. It just signifies that this kind of input is available in a particular question. So it can be repeated multiple number of times. Okay, so don't think that only single A and single B is coming in the question. Okay, so now L1 is defined by something language like this. So if you see, this is a language because if you're seeing because we can derive a language set from here. It means a string set from this language can be derived, like A can be taken out, B can be taken out, B can be taken out. So anything that can be taken out, something like this string can be possible. Okay, so now this will again be given to you, that you are replacing this thing with this one. So what you can do, first of all, you can do like write the language of this L1, and just substitute 0 with like this. Okay, so it's f of a is 0, so just write it as a 0 star, or b is 0 1 star, again write it 0 1 star, something like this. Okay, so because it is a language, I think you can directly replace this one, because it is not a single string but it is a language. So you can directly take L1 and just replace the a with 0 star and b with the 0 1 star. Okay, so it can be represented 0 1 star the power star. So it is again the same thing, can also be written as 0 star plus 0 1 star. Okay. Star the power star, no, it's a different thing, because star power star is a totally different thing. It is signify it is signifying that 0 1 star followed by 0 1 star and followed by 0 1 star can come if I just raise it to the power of this 2 3. Okay, so do not combine this, that will be a different thing. If I just write it like this, that 0 plus 1 star, so the in output string from this one will only be 0 1 star. Okay, so that is not the case here. So it means that only the strings like 0 1 1 1 1 is coming. But if I just raise it to the power of 3 from star power star, so 0 1 0 1 0 1 can be extracted from this. So it in place of this b you substitute 0 1 star, and it's raised to the power of star. It is raised to the power of star, because if it is a single string like one this one star raised to power star, I don't think it will make any difference. But it is two length strings, that is why it is totally okay. Uh, Keep in mind that it is star power star, so it is, do not merge these two. Okay, so single star. But if a string is written like this, that one star power star, I think you can merge it, because it is again representing one and the same thing, because it is a single length string. But if the length of the string is increased, it is totally representing a different thing. So this thing is different and this thing is different, keep that in mind. So star power star you have to write. Okay, so it will again generate the same thing that is generated by this. So why I directly substituted this in the regular expression, because I know that this is a language, this is not a string, this is a language. So I can substitute a language in another language. So that is why I've done this. Okay, so again, it is again given in the definition also that every input symbol in the language is replaced by another language. So you have to replace this by another language. Okay, so because this is a language, I just take the string from it, or what do I call it, input symbol from it, and replace it with another language here. Again, the resulting string, if you're seeing this resulting string, is also in the form of a regular expression. Okay, so if you're seeing, if you apply a substitution, you will always get a regular expression. It means that your language is again a regular language. First of all, you have to keep in mind that the language you are performing your operation on, it should have to be a regular language. Okay, so all the properties that I'm defining, everything I'm taking, if you're taking homomorphism, I'm taking homomorphism, I'm taking init operator also. In all of this one thing is common, that I'm performing all the operation on a regular language. Okay, in the same way, this thing is L1 is regular. That is why the by applying the substitution operator, I also got a regular expression, I also got a regular language. That is why I can say that that this operator, substitution operator, is closed under your regular language. Okay, so this substitution is also closed. Okay, so there is a most of the students will get confused in homomorphism, and in this one I also get confused sometimes. But that is why I have I have just handwritten it this point. Okay, so this is replaced by another string, but substitution is replaced by another language. So that is the defining point here. Keep that thing in mind. Okay, so now all the properties, I think we have like done like 11 properties. All the properties I have discussed in detail. So keep a lookout for this property. I can ask questions like I can give you like homomorphism. I can give you a homomorphic string, something like this. Suppose some question that that language A and B Some language is given like this: a plus b star. Uh, just wait for it. So some language is given like this: a star plus b, and I will give you that h of a is something like 0, and h of b is something like 1 or 0. And I will ask you what exactly is the regular expression. What exactly is the regular expression of the resulting homomorphic string, homomorphic language? So that is also another question that I can ask you. So don't think that if I am telling you this property is only limited to that. So also keep in mind that which property is exactly performing what. Okay, so uh, try to do that also, that which property is exactly doing what. So you have to keep that also in mind. So that is why I told you in detail all the properties. Okay, so now there are decision properties of regular language. So the next question, I just again want to tell you that that just wait. I just again repeating myself again. I just want to tell you that this properties of regular expression, specifically your closure properties, is given in the module 3. Okay, so it's given in the module 3. So I have taken and can tell you this properties of closure properties of regular in module 2. So keep that in mind. This is included in the syllabus. That if I why I have included this, because it will make more sense when you do when after completion uh, of all the things like finite automata. After that we have done regular expression. After that we have done conversion of regular expression from finite automata. So all the things that are related to regular languages are already completed. So it will make more sense that we discuss the properties of regular expression, regular languages in this module. So in module 2, only the decidable properties of regular languages are given. So that with that one, I have also discussed the what is the closure properties of regular language. Okay. So decidable property, it will only telling decidable property does not make sense. Because in decidable property there are some elements you have to keep in mind. If you understood the closure property, it is very easy to understand the decidable property. Okay, so it is one and the same thing. If you remember, closure property output is yes, that particular operation is closed under a regular language, or no, that particular operator is not closed under a regular language. Okay, so in the same way, the decidability output of a regular language will be yes, it is decidable property, decidable, decidable, and no, it is not decidable or undecidable. Okay, so output will only be in these two forms. Rather it will be whether it will be decidable, that is denoted by D, or whether it will be undecidable. Okay, so now keep in mind that these property decidable property will make more sense when I will talk when we have done Turing machine. So what I do, I will give you a general introduction of decidable properties, and I will also show you like 3 or 4 decidable properties. But once I am done with the Turing machine, I will again discuss the decidable property in the end when we have done Turing machine again in detail. Okay, so don't worry about that. It is just a general introduction of it. I will show you the table also, that the table that you have seen for closure property, it has the same table for decidable properties also. Okay, so now first of all, I just want to tell you that what exactly is a decidable property. So decidable property, the name suggests that something, if you are able to decide something, then it is a decidable property, and if you are not able to decide something, then it is not a decidable property. So it is that much is clear from the definition. So one thing is added in that. Okay, so the one thing is, if you are able to decide, if you are able to decide in polynomial amount of time, or in polynomial amount of time. So polynomial time will be your like you have seen your algorithms. So all the good algorithms have a polynomial complexity like log n, complexity like n log n. So that type of complexity that I want. So it is also a polynomial complexity, that is it is n square. So n cube is also a polynomial complexity. But that the complexity that is not that if your problem is taking a complexity or taking a time complexity of o n raised to power n, or 2 raised to power n, something like this. Okay, so that problems falls under your undecidable domain. Okay, so what is exactly, if I just tell you in single meaning, that if for a particular problem, if a algorithm exists. Okay, so algorithm exists, I will just want to more generalize this thing, that if an algorithm exists for a particular problem, you can directly say that it is a decidable problem. If there is no algorithm, then you can directly say that problem is not decidable. So that if I just uh, concise the definition into a one small one or two words, that is, if algorithm exists, then decidable. If no algorithm exists for a particular problem, then it is undecidable. Okay, so the problems can be a very simple one. If I just show you the table of decidable and undecidable property, so the table looks like this. Okay, so there are different problems that are written here. So these are the most general problem, and it will be only these problems will be asked from you, not more than that. Okay, so now suppose the first problem is given like this, that W belongs to a language. Okay, so it is just asking, it is also called a membership problem. So it is just asking to you that a particular string belongs to a language. So now if I just write a membership problem. So membership means a particular string. Suppose this is a W string, and the automata, because this is a regular language. I am talking about only in context of a regular language. So a particular automata will always be there. Okay, so I think there will be a particular automata. So if there exists a automata, now you are asked that for this automata, some string like ABA is a part of this language. Okay, so you suppose there is a L1, and for that L1, this particular corresponding automata is drawn. Okay, so I am asking you that is W is the string ABA is belongs to string ABA belongs to this L1. So that is the membership problem here. It is asking that a W belongs to a language. So that is a very easy question, because you can easily answer it if by giving that ABA to this automata, if you are ending at the final state, you can directly tell it that it is acceptable, and if you are not ending at a final state, you can directly say that it is not acceptable. Okay, so both of these, though, if it is acceptable, you can answer yes. If it is not acceptable, you can answer no. So both of these problem, that yes or no, it is decidable, because if you if you think for a membership problem, you are designing a automata. So for automata is just like a algorithm, you are designing it. So it is taking not a very much amount of time. It takes a very low amount of time to build an automata. So that is why I can say that some mechanism or some algorithm exists to verify that a particular string belongs to a particular language or not. So by saying that some algorithm exists, I can directly say this, that this membership problem for regular language is decidable. Okay, so if again, because we are only talking about regular languages, you can see that this is your RL. Don't worry about all the things here, DCFL, CFL, CSL, don't worry about it. Just see, this is your regular language, and in this regular language you will be seeing all the D's here. Okay, so almost in every case this regular language is decidable, so that you do not have to remember something, because if we are only talking about the property of regular language, it is all decidable. In the same way, if you have seen the property, closure property of regular language, you must have seen that in only infinite union, the infinite union is not closed under regular language. Almost all the operators are closed under a regular language. So that is, again, you do not need to remember something, but again, I will show you some problems regarding this decidability of regular language. So the first problem, I will show you that there is some kind of algorithm exists to verify that this problem exists. So the first problem I want to tell you is emptiness problem. So emptiness problem means that the drawn automata or the drawn or a language is only is not containing anything. Okay, so that is the problem here. Can you decide in a polynomial time, or there is any algorithm exist that can say that a particular language is regular? So the algorithm is written in 2 steps. I will also show you by following the algorithm. But strictly, if you think about it, how can you define that particular language is empty or not? Okay, so because I am talking about a regular language, obviously, so it means that there will be a particular automata that will be available to it. Okay, so now how to verify that a particular language is regular without using algorithm? I will show you the use of algorithm, but without using algorithm, you just look at the algorithm and you just look at the finite automata, and if something is ending at the final state, so if you think that AB is accepted in this particular F1, so you can directly say that this is not an empty language because it is accepting something. Okay, so without using algorithm, by just seeing if there is a final state exist in the automata, and that automata is taking some strings in the final state. By taking some string, it is ending in the final state. You can directly say this, that the language is not empty there because something is accepted in that language. Okay, so the algorithm available. So just I take an example rather than reading here. So just I take it like this one, something like this: A, B, something like this. So select the state which are not corresponding state in the finite order and language is separate. Okay, so just take a string like this one. Okay, this is your final state. Now if I just take another transition, some transition from this one, that will be your A. Okay, so now see the state, select the state which are not reachable from initial state and delete those states and the corresponding transition. Okay, so this is your first state, second, three, and fourth state. Now see, from initial state, which state you cannot reach. I don't think you can reach the state 4 here. So you cannot reach the fourth state. This is your fourth state because the arrow is coming in the reverse direction. You cannot in any way reach the state 4. You have to delete the select the state which are not reachable and delete those states. So you have to delete the state with the corresponding transitions also. So you should delete this one also. So only 3 states are remaining now. In the remaining finite automata, if we find at least one final state, then the language is accepted by the FA and it is non-empty. Okay, so otherwise it is empty. If there is in the resulting automata, if you see in the resulting automata, there is no final state. If you're clearly seeing it is not, there is no final state, it means that the language corresponding to this is a file language. It is not accepting anything. So again, algorithm exists for the emptiness problem. So I can directly call that problem that this is emptiness problem, and there exists a particular algorithm also to verify that a particular language is regular or not. So I can directly say that your emptiness problem is decidable under regular language. Okay, so that is the way here. So I will only show you like 3 properties, but there are also other problems that are given in the I will tell you about it in the end. Okay, so another problem is infiniteness. Infinite means that a particular language is infinite. So most of you are kindly very aware of it, that a particular which language is an infinite language. Suppose if I just write B star, you know about this, that this B star is a infinite language. How do you know about this? Because if you because of this star, because this star denotes that n is greater than equal to 0. So the value of n can be infinity, from 0 to infinity. So I have not defined that. You can directly say that this is a infinite problem. Okay, so again I will take another example. If the algorithm is given for the infinite problem here, so the first step is saying that remove the state which are not reachable from initial state. Always this will always be the first step. So we remove those states which are not reachable from the initial state, and it is saying that delete the states and corresponding transition which we cannot find the final state. Okay, so again I just take example, it will be more clearer to you. So take this example, something like this one, this B, and now I agree. So if there is a loop in the question, you can directly say it. So I also make a state that is not reachable. So okay, this is your state that is not reachable, something like this. Okay, this is your first state, second state, third state, and this is your fourth state. Now I remove the states which are not reachable from the initial state. Okay, so this one state is not reachable from the initial state. 2, 4 can reachable, and 3 is reachable. So delete this part. Okay, so after deleting the second step is delete the states and corresponding transition from which we cannot reach the final state. Okay, so delete the states. Okay, you can reach the final state from 2. Yeah, I can reach the final state from 2, but from 3 I cannot reach the final state to 4 here. From 2 I can reach the final state 4, but from 3 I cannot reach the final state 4 here. So I have to delete that state also. Now it is saying delete that state also, and in the remaining finite automata, if there will be at least one loop and a one final state. Okay, so there, I don't think there is one final state. Yeah, exactly, but there is no loop. Okay, so there is one final state here. It is and, so both condition has to be necessary, and it is only containing only one final state, but there is no loop. So you can say that this is not a finite set. Okay. So again, you can directly by seeing automata, if there is a loop, you can say that that problem is infinite, but you have to keep in mind that that loop should be connected to the final language. Okay, so if you are saying that every loop does not guarantee that infinite language will be accepted. Okay, so in this question, if you are clearly seeing on third auto in this automata, your F1, in F1 you are clearly saying that the third state of this automata is containing a loop, but that loop is not going towards the final state in any way. If this loop is able to reach to the final state, only then I can say that the language that is accepted by any automata is finite. Okay, so again, keep that in mind. Only a loop does not signify, this loop does not signify that we will get an infinite language, but loop with the final state. If the loop goes to the final state some way or another, if the loop goes to the final state, then you can say that this is a infinite language. Okay, so keep in mind, if a particular automata contains loop, it does not guarantee that it is acceptable, it is accepting a infinite language. For that one, because of this thing, these three steps are written. Okay, so now this thing is not reachable to the final state. If it is reachable, if I just inverse this arrow, now it is reachable from the final state. So I can say that this is an infinite language. Keep that thing in mind. So that is why these three steps signifies the algorithm to find any infinite problem. Okay, so that is your second problem, membership problem. I have already told you that if there is exist a finite automata, because I'm talking about in terms of your regular languages. So automata will always be a possibility for that. So in your automata is also kind of algorithm. By using certain steps, you can also design algorithm in programming also. Okay, so that is why if automata exists, that will say yes or no for membership. You can directly say if it is ending at final state, then it is that language, that string is in the language, and if it is not, the string is not in the language. For emptiness problem, you can follow this step. You can directly tell it that your language is empty or not. Okay, so it can also be identified if a language has a final state. Okay, so if it has a final state and this final state is reachable by taking some string, you can directly say that it is not empty. But if there is no final state, then you can directly say that this is an empty language. Okay, similarly, the third property that I want to discuss about is your equivalence. So this is, for this equivalence property, there is also an algorithm. That algorithm, again, if I just tell you that the problem here, it is just asking that is L1 or L2 if L1 is equal to L2. So it is just asking one question. So that is the equivalence property. Is it decidable in real time? Yeah, this property is also decidable. If you clearly see, for L1 you draw a DFA1, for L2 you draw a DFA2. Okay, so first of all, it may be different, it may be same. If the DFAs are same, you can directly say that it is equivalent. Just to be double sure, just minimize these both of this language, these DFAs. Okay, so after minimizing it, if you are finding that DFA A is equal to DFA 2, you can directly say that L1, this implies that L1 is equal to L2. Okay, so again, the algorithm exists for this equivalence property, and again I can say that regular language is again decidable under equivalence property. In the same way, if you look at the table, I don't think that there is something that you will not understand, because the problems are written very straightforward. Okay, so L belongs to null. It is about asking about the emptiness problem. In the same way that L is equal to L2, L is a subset of L2. So these are all kind of problems are decidable. So just read and take some time to read the table. First of all the properties are already decidable under regular language. I don't think you will find any difficulty there, but just keep that in mind that decidable problems are also exist. And what exactly is a decidable problem? If there exists a certain algorithm for deciding a problem, then you can actually say that problem is decidable. If there is no algorithm exists, there is no particular mechanism exist to solve that problem, you can directly say that this is not decidable problem. Okay, so again, by telling you that what exactly there is an algorithm exists means that I am only telling you that the algorithm should take a polynomial time. If the algorithm is taking like a very large amount of time, that is your non-polynomial time, so that thing is also not coming under undecidability. Okay, if I just say that that you again, I will take the same example that that you have called the customer care executive, and after calling a customer care executive, they just tell you that just wait for 8 hours, and after that they will again tell you that wait for 4 hours more. After that they again tell you for wait for 5 hours. So at that time you are thinking that my number will never come, and you just hang up the phone. But what happens if that when suppose you have hanged up your phone at 4:10, but happened that at 4:11 it should be picked. Okay, so there is no way you can find that at 4:11 there is a possibility that my phone will be picked from your side. You cannot know in any way. So that problem from your side is undecidable, because if you design an algorithm for them, no doubt you can design an algorithm for this particular problem, but that algorithm has a lot of variables. Suppose how many call center workers are working at that night, and how much each amount of customer executive is taking on each call, and how much resources are available, and you have to also count for uncertainty factor also. So there are so many variables in that. I'm not saying that there is not a particular algorithm exist for this problem, but there will be that algorithm that exists for this. It will be, first of all, it will be highly certain in or uncertain, and second of all, it will take a lot of time complexity. It will not take a lot of time, because it depends upon the size of the variables that you are taking into account when doing this. Okay, so that is why if I'm going exactly into the definition, if there is an algorithm exists that takes only polynomial amount of time, you can call that problem as a decidable problem. If there is no algorithm exist, or if the algorithm exists but it takes a non-polynomial time to solve that, so solve a particular algorithm, you can directly say that this is not a decidable problem. Okay, so don't worry about it. This is just a general introduction. When I
Sir,
complete, yes, yes.
if the algorithm takes constant amount, then also it is decidable, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Constant amount, it is the best thing that can happen. So okay, if I just say that because everything is decidable if that problem is finite. Okay, so again, this again lies in the same thing, that finite automata. Your finite automata means if anything is finite, then it is already a regular. So that if it is a regular, it is also decidable. Okay, so everything lies in that. If you have a finite set, there is no problem. So this is only for infinite set I'm talking. Okay. So this is the general definition of your decidable property. First of all, you look at the table that I have already uploaded on the LMS. You will find that table on there. Okay. So I think this now with this, I just tell you this. Just wait for a minute. So I just, if I have a syllabus, just I just want to show you the syllabus. Uh, okay. So with this one, we have covered our, with this decidable property also done, we have covered two modules. Okay, so in this module only this push is not there, that various recent development in the conversion of a regular expression to NFA. Okay, so this is your self-study topic. You should look for it yourself because I have already given you many techniques regarding this. Okay, so if you remember, I have taught in class about the Thompson method. Okay, so if you remember Thompson method, what we do, we take a regular expression and convert it into a automata, or I just call it epsilon NFA. But there are so many problems in that. I've already told you that the resulting automata will always will most generally be epsilon NFA, and then you have to convert it to NFA, and then you have to convert it into a DFA, and then you have to minimize it. So there are so many steps involved in the Thompson construction method, but there are also one other method that is also based on the same lines of Thompson construction method. By employing that method, you will directly get an NFA. Okay, so I think you on Wikipedia, if you search for Thompson method on Wikipedia, at the end you will find that method. I do not remember the name. So just look for that method, and it's also a very easy method. So that method you study it yourself. Okay. So again, this is just for your own knowledge, because if you know one method, I don't think you just look for it, but still because it is given in the syllabus, so that is your that topic is your self study part. Okay, so we have to include 10% of the syllabus to the self study part, so that is why I'm giving you this topic to self study yourself. I will provide you the link to that problem, don't worry about it. I will share the links. Okay, so if you're seeing all the things that are given here are already done, because application of finite automata, so this is done in the first lecture. Okay, so if you have attended the first tutorial of in the starting, I have given you a PPT where I've discussed all the application that is possible, and in finite automata, as well as in any other general automata, so that contains application as well. In all the tutorial, I will have at least one question that designate the finite automata application, or Murray-Millais specific applications are also given in that. Okay, so now this decision properties of regular languages I have discussed about it, and just limitation of finite automata, you just take a look at it yourself. Only one limitation is there for finite automata, is that because it does not have a memory. Okay, there are other limitations also, so just look for it. It is just a very 2 or 3 point topic. Okay, so it is not a very good one. I will provide you something about the limitations. Okay, so now all the things we have done here till module 2. Also we have done some things. Now the module 3 will contain the context free grammar. Okay, so if you are directly seeing this, we have not done this in the syllabus. There is nothing given regarding a regular grammar, so we are directly starting it from a context free grammar. So before starting the third module, I will start with the regular grammar and I will evolve towards the context free grammar. Okay, so I do not want to discuss context free grammar directly, because if you do not have the basics of a regular language, so it will be taking a little bit of time. But I think if you understand the regular grammar, how it is built, so it is very easy to understand the context free grammar. So first, they are only giving you the techniques that is given here, that context free grammar and derivation tree and ambiguity. So these are properties of context free grammar, but we will also see how exactly the context free grammar is built here. So again, I will start with regular grammar, and evolve it into a context free grammar. Okay, so till module 2 is completed, so I think your examination of finite this automata theory will be at 9 October. I think 9 or 10 will be the date. It will be provided to you by the respective program coordinator. But first 2 modules will be covered, and the third module and the coming lectures I will tell you about regular languages, regular grammar. So that will also be a part of the syllabus that will come into the exam. Okay, so if you have any doubt regarding it, you can ask me. So if you have any doubt regarding anything till module 2, I will again denote the doubt session before before the examination. So I think you should start studying. All the lectures already been uploaded. The starting lectures which are not being uploaded will be available to you in your Microsoft stream. Okay, so check it check it there if you're not able to find something. If you're not still able to find, if you want some lectures, so just let me know. I will find and I will upload it to YouTube. Okay, so all of the resources have been provided to you. You see your LMS, all the things are there. Again, if you have any doubt, anything, you can ask me, but I prefer that you should start studying, because if you want to score good marks, you should start studying now. Okay, so now this is your peak point. Okay, so now again, your tomorrow's lecture I will take in the morning, that is 8:30. I have given you, I have also mailed you that in that lecture, uh, just let me, I will also now take a little bit of a quiz, uh, that what do I call it, just wait for a minute.